Hello everyone, my name is Clantis and welcome to the clan. So without further ado, let's get into this video. What in the Ratha seeing the light finally is going on at the North Gauteng High Court in the Senzo murder trial? I don't know if you were experiencing the same thing I was experiencing, shock therapy after shock therapy after shock therapy, to the point where we're asking, what exactly did Judge President Mlambo tell Ratha yesterday when he visited the court and surprised a lot of us? Because I was like, oh, the principal is in the house. I don't know if your school used to do this, where out of the blue, sometime during school lessons, the principal would just walk into the classroom and finds a little corner there in the classroom and observe the teacher while they are teaching, and also observe the students, how they are interacting with the lesson. I don't know if it was only my schools that I've gone to or other schools also did the same thing. I felt that's exactly what Judge Mlambo did. I was like, ooh, what did he hear? What is the suspicions that are in his desk or on his desk about Ratha? So anyways, guys, before we get into what happened today, please do me a favor by smashing the like button for me. I'm loving you guys smashing the like button. I appreciate you so very much. If you are watching and you have not clicked the like button yet, what are you waiting for? And also, if you're watching and you're not subscribed yet, please do consider subscribing and be part of this great family. Trust and believe me, you will not regret it. So anyways, guys, let's get into what happened at the North Gauteng High Court. I do apologize about yesterday. That video, guys, I discarded it because the Wi-Fi did not work at all. At all. I'm telling you guys, it did not work at all. So I gave up on that video. So I discarded it. So we are just going to start with today's proceedings. So in today's proceedings, Advocate Timnisi was supposed to cross-examine Sergeant Mukhanu, whom was stood down so that they give space for Mr. Dupree, who is the vehicle movement expert, who actually did testify in court yesterday and gave evidence in chief, and there was cross-examination. The cross-examination itself came to a stand down because Advocate Timnisi, as basically the defense, wanted the witness to basically recreate or put together a simulation of what he's talking about that is in the AVL as an expert. I love that eventually an expert was called. I'm not quite sure at what point Judge Ratha changed his mind about an expert, because we wouldn't be where we are if in the beginning we had an expert who was going to come and give us a clearer picture of the AVL and use scientific terms that we can understand about coordinates and all these sort of things that are in the AVL. In a video that I did regarding AVL, I did mention that the Sergeant Mukhane was failing to read the coordinates, because coordinates are there for a reason. They give you a pinpoint location, not a pinpoint location per se, but where exactly this vehicle was parked. Think of you when you are in an Uber and the Uber driver doesn't know the place exactly where to go to, and then they hear this direction from the GPS. They say, in 300 meters, turn left. In 200 meters, turn right. In 600 meters, drive straight. In 2 meters, there's going to be a roundabout. And then your destination is on your right. Why? Because you're using coordinates. So same thing as well. Your house, your apartment, wherever you work at, that is the coordinate. It has its own coordinates. So it was quite interesting when we had Mr. Dupree, who took the stand and gave evidence, which I felt, ooh, Sergeant Mukhane, you in trouble. You are a liar of note, because what Mr. Dupree was saying, even though Mr. Dupree was holding back a little bit on the information that he was giving out in court. Why? Because indirectly but directly he's employed by the SCPS as a tender. So he's not going to bite the hand that feeds him. He's not going to put the police department in trouble, which might end up at the end of the day terminating the contract and rendering him unemployed. So you could tell that he was withholding And yet was finding himself in a very difficult position because these readings were right before him. And secondly, he is called by the state as a witness, as an expert. So let's hear expert results, or let's hear expert opinion on the AVLs. And he was really, really struggling. I think that's the point where Advocate Timnisi was like, let's rather do this. Let's get the correct readings of the coordinates, like where exactly, when the car idled for so long, where exactly did these heartbreak happen, where exactly this and all of that. I was like, I'm happy with that. They should have done this from the beginning, because coordinates do not lie. So it turns out Mr. Dupree was only available for yesterday to testify. He was not available today or any other days because apparently he has a full diary. However, though, the state as well as the defense agree that they are going to approach Mr. Dupree and they will brief him and instruct him of simulating or recreating all the stops that Sergeant Mugane, together with all the people that he were with, when they were taking Ndanze all over the country per se. And of course, I don't think Sergeant Mugane or Gininda or anybody, wherever they're sitting, they are thinking, oh my goodness, how do we go to that spot and change things around, because the coordinates are not going to lie. So thus far, it looks like whatever accusations or allegations that accused number 2, that is Bongani Ntanzi, had leveled against the police that tubed him, assaulted him, did all those nasty things to him, they're actually being collaborated. Yes, they're being collaborated in a vaguish way. Now the coordinates are going to be recreated. This is when now we're going to have a full picture of if indeed there were ATMs that were not working at this point. If indeed there's an open felt in some place where Ntanzi said he was tubed. If indeed there was another garage where they stopped and goodness knows what happened. And coordinates will also place coordinates will also either place them in Baragwanath Hospital or not place them in Baragwanath Hospital. Now, I've been getting a lot of videos from people saying, hey, look what South Africans have been doing on their own, using their own resources. They took those coordinates that they were hearing in court and did their own investigations. If you go to TikTok right now, there are coordinates that were said in court that led directly inside the Baragwanath Hospital. There are other coordinates as well. When Ntanzi said there are ATMs that don't work, they went there indeed. That spot is still there. However, the difference is the ATMs are now working. However, when they went backward with those coordinates, indeed, Ntanzi was right that they were not working. So we're having TikTok investigators, YouTube investigators that are doing the Lord's work. And of course, the court is not going to listen to the public. The court is only going to listen to what is presented to it in court. Does Ratha Mokgoatleng, or did Ratha Mokgoatleng see the TikTokers and the YouTubers circulating those coordinates as true location? Maybe that's why he's seeing the light, because today it was not Ratha Mokgoatleng that we all got to learn and kind of love and hate at the same time, because he was nice towards the defense. As a matter of fact, one could actually mistake him to be for the defense. I don't know, maybe I'm overreading things or I don't know, maybe I'm optimistic, I'm not quite sure, but I think it has something to do with the visitation of Judge President Mlambo, who was sitting in the court for a few moments and did some observations, I think. I don't know what the brief was after that. So Advocate Baloyi did tell the court that he and the defense did sit together with Mr. Dupree and they instructed him on simulating or recreating the stops that Sergeant Mugane and all his alleged hooligans stopped and traveled to, or the path that they traveled on during the dates that were given to the court. It was also quite interesting to see Advocate Baloyi not giving the month of the dates that he was giving in court, but anyways, we all knew that the dates that he was supposed to be giving in court started on the 31st of May. The 31st of May, it is where accused number 1 was arrested into June until the 16th of June when Danzi, or accused number 2, was arrested, and all the other days preceding to around the 25th of June 2020. So the judge wanted to know if there were any other dates and months that needs to be specified by Advocate Baloyi. Baloyi then gave, and I'm going to be reading a lot in this video because I don't want to get some things incorrect, and there are other things that I want to say at the end of the video as my thoughts regarding what was happening in court today. Basically, I want to quote what the judge said, I want to quote what Baloyi said, and also quote what the defense counsels also said so that I can make my final thoughts at the end of the video. So Advocate Baloyi then gave the dates of the 1st, the 5th, the 22nd, the 24th, and 25th, but did not specify the month. Judge Ratha wanted to know if all was in the month of June. And then he wanted to know if all the counsels agreed on these dates that Dupree will have to go and simulate the movement of that fortuner that carried accused number 2. So this is when Advocate Ramusipili stood up and assisted the court with the date that Advocate Baloyi skipped the 18th, the 19th, and the 20th of June. So he started off by saying they agreed on the 31st of May. They agreed then on all the other dates in June that Advocate Baloyi has already told the court. Advocate Mnisi, Advocate Numalo, and Advocate Mshololo all confirmed that indeed the dates that were read out by Advocate Baloyi as well as Ramusipili are indeed correct. Those are the dates that Dupree is going to work with in recreating the path that the Toyota Fortuner that was driven by Sergeant Mukhani together with his alleged hooligans had traveled with Danzi. So this is when Ratha Mokgoatleng, I thought, okay, Ratha Mokgoatleng, you are giving Baloyi hard time here, because he had a specific question where I thought they were circulating around it for more than 12 minutes about the status of the report. He asked Baloyi, after y'all met with Mr. Dupree, what is the status of the report? And I have to agree with Ratha Mokgoatleng here. I agreed from the beginning to the end with how exactly this report should come. Meaning that he does not want a part where the defense will get up and say, but no, this is not what we agreed on. Or no, wait a minute, where are the coordinates? He wanted to know what conditions did you give this particular expert. I don't know why he was using air quotes here when he came to Dupree being an expert. I found that to be very interesting as well from Ratha Mokgoatleng. But then again, I get it. He realized that the story that he gave on Monday is like dodgy. And so now he's kind of like being careful with air quotes, which I found interesting, as I said. So like I said, Judge Ratha Mokgoatleng wanted to know what were the arrangements that they had with Dupree. And this is where I'm going to start reading some of the things that Ratha Mokgoatleng was questioning Advocate Baloyi, subsequently questioning the defense counsels as well, where I felt they were just circulating, especially Baloyi, who was, I don't know, I think he looked shocked today. I don't know if you saw him, he was like, have I lost favor in the judge? What's going on? Because I would have felt the same way, having enjoyed the judge's favor. And out of the blue, now he is with the defense? What's happening? I would have asked myself. But anyways, this is what Ratha, he emphasized, and I quote him. I am saying this because this trial is an adversarial trial. I have never heard of adversarial. And then, of course, I was taught in school that every time you hear a new word or you come across a new word, what do? You look it up. So I went to Google Dictionary, and this is what Google Dictionary told me what the word adversarial mean, and I think that added to my intelligence, because that's what happens when you learn something new. The word adversarial, the Google Dictionary says adversarial means involving or characterized by conflict or opposition. However, in law, adversarial means of a trial or legal proceedings in which the parties in a dispute have the responsibility for finding and presenting evidence, an adversarial system of justice. That's what adversarial mean, in case you were wondering, just like I was, what on earth that means. This is when Judge Ratha continued to say, and I quote him again, this witness was specifically called, that is Mr. Dupree, was called by the state, although he's an expert. Who can assist the court? I want to know what is the status of the report he's going to prepare, so that we mustn't have problems later on about A, B, C, D, E, F, G interpretation of this. What did you agree regarding the status of that report? He was asking these questions to a rather dumbfounded Advocate Baloyi, who did not really know how exactly to answer this question, but this is what he said anyways. Baloyi basically said this was also asked by one of the defense counsels, where they said or raised a question that perhaps they should have a peek of that report before it's presented. Judge Ratha was not having it. He said they cannot have a peek of the report. I want to know the status of the report. When you sat down with the expert, what status of the report did you give him? I guess it's like what you call point of reference, because he needs to work on something. I agree once again with the judge. I felt like what the defense counsels therefore said about, oh, this is the state's witness, and therefore the state is the one that needs to have these conditions to give to the expert. But in my mind, I'm like, but guys, Advocate Mngome Zulu, you have been burnt by Advocate Baloyi at least twice. As for the other defense counsels, they've been burnt by Baloyi several times. So what if Baloyi says, yeah, this is my witness, so I want to win this case, I would omit 1, 2, or 3 from this report and tell the expert that, listen, as you take or you recreate the path, forget this, forget that, forget this, forget that. Focus on this. And then the report is completed, and then he comes and presents it in court, and all these important coordinates are not there. Will that be tantamount to them being burnt once again? Because now the judge asked them, all of them, and they all agreed, or at least they said, it's the state's responsibility to give this witness these conditions. And then they would have egg on their face. They would have shot themselves in the foot. That is why I felt like, listen, maybe they should have asked the court, listen, can we go back? Because we know that Dupree, according to his testimony yesterday, he said he was going to be busy today from 10 to 12. Hopefully the matter that, or the dispute that he's going to attend to, would quickly resolve. And then they make time with him maybe after hours and say, listen, here are the conditions, because we don't trust the state, right? Because they've been burned by Baloyi before. These are the things that you are going to recreate, and then give him specific points and things that he needs to look at, so that when the report comes, they are happy. Or maybe if they have some few things they want to cross-examine on it, then they can do so. That's how I felt. I was like, you guys have not learned a lesson from Baloyi at all. So Advocate Baloyi tried to explain himself why he cannot answer the question about the status of the report. And this is when Judge Ratha started to ask in a sarcastic, or in a way that he was trying to read a difficult word in syllables. And he said, I quote, what is the status of the report prepared by a witness who is still under cross-examination? Now, Advocate Baloyi looked shocked. When the camera panned on him, he looked rather shocked, like, what is going on, Dad? What did you do to me? And then I'm like, Baloyi, I'm so sorry. Your dad just abandoned you. But I did laugh. I don't wanna. It was funny, okay? It was funny how the judge just turned on Baloyi today. Because we know the old Ratha Mokgotleng, he would have agreed with Baloyi, everything. He would have agreed with Baloyi, not challenge him the way he was challenging him, to a point where he was patronizing to him and saying things like, what is the status of the report? And I'm like, what's with the syllables? Yeah, Ratha Mokgotleng continued to say he was approached by the defense and the state to prepare a report. What is the status of that report? Like I said, it was like a hamster wheel. And Ratha Mokgotleng, I mean, I understood him. And I think he was giving tips to the defense. Like, listen, y'all don't know Baloyi, but I'm questioning him, but the message is to you, defense. What exactly did you tell the expert? Because tomorrow, I think advocate, I think the judge already realizes that the state has lost this one. I think he always knew this, and he was trying to help the state to revive its case, but realized that, man, the AVL just finished him, and he doesn't want to be associated with that report. So that is why now he's indirectly speaking to the defense and saying, hey guys, give the expert specific recreations that he has to go and do. Because trust and believe me, what Ntanzi has told y'all, those coordinates are going to confirm them. He was not specifically speaking to the state, but he was challenging the state by asking the status of the report. But the message is to the defense. That is at least what I realized. Because Judge Mokgotleng has seen the light. And Ratha Mokgotleng continued to say, the fact is, this is an adversarial system we are dealing with. It's not a civil trial. He's telling Advocate Baloyi. Advocate Baloyi agreed. This is when Advocate Baloyi said, okay, I agree. This leaves us with two options. Once the defense has had the opportunity to view that report, either we do the report or submit via section 220, or as an addendum to the current report that is before the court. Again, Judge Ratha was not happy with the response. He still wanted to know what is the status of the report. At this point, Advocate Baloyi's tongue was tied. He was like, He reported further that, well, up until the defense has seen it, and the judge was like, no, I'm not interested in that. They cannot see the report before. Judge Ratha Mokgotleng interjected and said, no, they don't have to see it first, because you've approached an expert jointly to say he must prepare a report. The question is, will be cross-examination on that report? Or will that report, as you suggest, we just accept it as a report which is sanctioned by the two parties before this court? At this point, I was like, poor Baloyi. Oh my goodness, it's like watching your dad walk away to go buy bread and milk and never comes back. So this is when the judge turns to Advocate Mngomezulu to ask the same question. What was the status of the report when you met with the expert? Advocate Mngomezulu, being the smart person that he is, he realized that we did not do that. But let me throw the ball back at the state's court, because, of course, he's already damaged. Let me just throw him under the bus. And an approaching A380 that is landing at OR Tambo International Airport, and said, well, the witness is of the state, and therefore the state is the one that needs to deal with the status of the report. We will just cross-examine if there are any matters arising in that report. And I was like, smart answer. But what are the status of the report? I want to know as well, because I agree with Ratha Mokgotleng. Because tomorrow you don't want Baloyi pulling the carpet under your feet, because he will do that. You are giving him an opportunity by actually handing these conditions to the state. The state can pick and choose. It wants to win this case, and you are saying, well, take us to the slaughterhouse. No, don't do that, defense. Just approach the expert and give him specific coordinates that he needs to look at. According to accused number 2's assertion about him being abused, him being assaulted, being electrocuted, and being tubed, taken here and taken there. Those are the coordinates you need to ask for. That actually you need to instruct the expert to go find and come back with a solidified report on those coordinates. Because I'm telling you, Advocate Baloyi is going to say, leave the coordinates out. All you do is just follow this part and this, things that are going to work for them. And then if now you have issues on the report, that means now you're going to have another long adjournment. This Duprier guy sounds like a very busy person. When are you going to get him next? Do it while you still have the opportunity. So I agree with Ratha Mokgwatleng. So Advocate Mngomezulu said it will be difficult for the defense to admit the report prior to its scene sight of it. The witness is still the witness of the state, not of both parties. I request the court to keep the status of the witness as, and Judge Ratha Mokgwatleng interjected and said, no, I can't change the status of the witness. I can't. This is when Advocate Mngomezulu reiterated his point by saying that it will always be the witness of the state. Judge Ratha agreed. He said, yeah, that is correct. I was like, okay, Judge, this is the part where you shoot down at the defense and say, no, that's not what I asked you. I asked you about the status of the report. Advocate Mngomezulu continued to say, if there is anything that we are not satisfied with from that report, we will definitely have to cross-examine the witness. So Judge Ratha turned to Advocate Mnisi Nxumalo and Mshololo and continued to throw Baloyi under the bus, and they all agreed that this is the witness of the state. So is the state's problem to come up with the status of the report. Ratha then said, I still have a problem with that. My problem is with that it still complies with the adversarial system, that you need to go find evidence and they need to go find evidence, and then you come to this court and present those problems or those evidence. I was like, come on, defense, the judge is talking to you in encrypted message. Go and find Duprier and then sit him down and then leave no stone unturned on that AVL. Leave no stone unturned. This is an expert. He's going to take his helicopter and use that machine that does the coordinates and go specifically to the coordinates on the AVL, and then he will mark X here and see what is there. And then he'll climb down from his helicopter, drive to that spot and say, oh, okay, here I see an open felt. The open felt is 1 kilometer away from Morocco police station. Oh, okay, here where he marked the X, he will say, okay, here there are ATMs, and then you go back, like those ATMs in 2020, then they didn't work. And then he moved to the, you see what I'm trying to say here? That is exactly what Mokgwatleng is trying to tell you, defense, that be specific with the expert. Because once you're specific with the expert, it's going to prove the current witness, which is Sergeant Mugane, a total liar. I called him the other day a pathological liar. That's exactly what Mokgwatleng is trying to tell the defense from what I observed. Ratha continued to say, but the point is, when Mr. Duprier comes back to testify, he presents the report as an expert. Then you got the right to cross-examine it. But you can't say until you have insight of it. Are you with me? He asks. He continues to say, this is Ratha, continues to say, he comes with the report which he has drafted after being asked questions. There is nothing asking questions about the mechanism, how it operates, etc., coordinates, etc. Of course, you know, when he flies his hand in the air. And then he prepares a report on the queries which you have raised, all of you. So now he's preventing a situation where now Duprier has prepared this report, presented it in court, and out of it, the defense is like, no, we're not happy. Suddenly there are queries and all that stuff. Now Dupree has to go back again, now with full instructions from the defense that this is missing, this is missing, this is missing. Why need you do this? Why need you do that? That is what Ratha is trying to say. For progress' sake, clean everything in that AVL. Leave no stone unturned so that we move on. Judge Ratha continues to say, then he presents that report, then you got the right to cross-examine it, but you don't see the report first, like you want to do. And then after, you say you don't agree with this. I agree with Ratha Mokgotleng. I agree, Judge. I agree with you, and I love you for being a judge today. I enjoyed your courtroom. In as much as it was this tiny little short today, I still enjoyed you. I was like, oh my goodness, this is what a judge is supposed to be like. Subsequently, all counsels then agreed with Judge. So Advocate Baloyi then reported to the judge that they had left a date open for Dupree to return once he is done with the report. So after thinking about it, Advocate Timnisi, when it was his turn to cross-examine Sergeant Mokgane, he then made a statement to the court, which surprisingly, the judge agreed with him. I was like, Judge, what happened? So this is what Advocate Timnisi said. It had just come to my mind that most probably having had possession or seen the report of Mr. Dupree that is going to be presented, there is that likelihood that there would be issues that I would love to take up with this witness, meaning Sergeant Mokgane, on the basis of that report that is going to be prepared. Judge Ratha, shockingly, he agreed. Advocate Timnisi continued to say, I am not even sure whether it would be fair for this witness for me to start to cross-examine him without having had sight of that report and decide whether or not there are issues that I would love to take up with him on the basis of that report. This is when Ratha interjected and asked, this is after the report has been presented. Advocate Timnisi said yes, it needs to be after the presentation of the report by Dupree. And then the judge says, yeah, no, I agree. And Timnisi continued to say, I am not so sure whether it is in the interest of justice that I start my cross-examination with this witness where there is a likelihood that the content of that report would necessitate me cross-examining this witness on that report. Ratha Mokgotleng said, that makes sense. I was like, and I was hoping the camera would pan to Baloyi, but it didn't. I can imagine how shocked he was. He must have felt cold in his stomach that Ratha, a whole Ratha that has become the enemy of the people, will be suddenly loved by the people. Because I'll be honest, I liked Ratha today. I really did. He reminded me back when he started with the trial, and I liked him already, and I was defending him. I defended Ratha a lot until when Zungu and his handwritten notes did not come, and then he came with a prepared judgment, and I was like, Auntie Uje, no. You are dirty. That's what I thought. So Advocate Timnisi then looked at the judge and said, I don't know where this leaves us. And this is when Ratha said, then we adjourn the evidence of this witness, meaning Sergeant Mokgane. Nisi said yes. And this is what Ratha continued to say as well. It makes sense. He was the person who activated the AVL system by driving the vehicle. What a turnaround from Monday. Today's Friday. Two different Ratha. What's happening? So all defense counsels as well as the state confirmed that the witness should be stood down until Dupree has presented the report. This is when I was like, yes, Sergeant Mokgane, you are in trouble, sir. Your lies are about to be exposed. Even Advocate Baloyi could not object to the defense strategy. So Ratha then made his ruling, but first he addressed the witness by saying the following. I agree with the sentiments that it is proper for Mr. Dupree to present the report. You already testified about the exigency of driving the vehicle and stopping where idling, etc., etc., etc. So basically everything that the AVL was pointing out, the hard brakes and all that stuff, he has already testified on that. There could possibly be questions arising from the report which are not irreconcilable with your evidence, and the defense has got the right to clear that up with you. Okay? Then Ratha Mokgoatleng continued to say, so we will adjourn your evidence. I don't know until when. Then Sergeant Mukhane says, I'll be waiting. So this is when the judge turns to Baloyi and says, so what do we do? This is when Advocate Baloyi then told the court that the next witness was not going to be able to take the stand today because she is writing exam. This is Sergeant Mohola. He further then tells the court that the defense counsels have no objection in adjourning the witness until Monday. And then Ratha Mokgoatleng made his judgment and said, because of these unforeseen circumstances, then we will adjourn until Monday morning. And that was the end of the proceedings in the North Gauteng High Court at the Senzomiwa murder trial. So what are my thoughts? I think my thoughts are Ratha Mokgoatleng has seen the light. I think maybe, I'm not sure, maybe there's a high possibility that Judge President, when he came to the court yesterday, he kind of like cracked the whip, I think, or they came there to say, look, the state is losing this case, and we must not associate the judiciary having been involved in helping the state winning this case against the 5 men that stand accused. I think the Judge President may have said, listen, let's leave the state under the bus. They will sort themselves out. You have to focus on being a judge, focus on being neutral, and focus on everything that is submitted by the winners, which I think is the defense. So I think now we are in full circle with me believing that this judge knows that the state does not have a case. All he's doing is giving them a long rope to hang themselves. That is why he's going to continue listening to this case. Though I feel like this case is literally wasting taxpayers' money. Money of the states is being literally thrown in a drainage and is washed off by water the more this trial continues. So are we seeing the end of the trial? I think in a not so far future, we are definitely seeing the end of this trial, possibly before the end of 2023. If it's beyond 2023, maybe by February, this case will be done, because I estimated it that it will be concluded sometime around this time in 2024. So with the change of heart of the judge, I feel like the end is near, very, very near. And I think possibly once Gininda takes the stand, possibly this could be the end of the trial within a trial, possibly even the main trial. Those are my thoughts, those are my suspicions, and let's see how they unfold. Anyways, guys, if you like the video, give it a like. If you didn't like the video, give it a like. Anyways, do subscribe to my YouTube channel and don't forget to click the bell notification so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. Thank you so much to everybody that's super thanking the channel and supporting it financially. Anna! Thank you. Thank you so much. I highly appreciate you guys so very much. Also, guys, do leave me a comment down below. Let me know, what did you think about today's proceedings? What did you think of Ratha Mokgoatleng's attitude today? Do you think he has seen the lights? I think he has. If it's not the light that he saw, he got a briefing from Judge President. Also, guys, please, when you come across other YouTubers' channel, do like their videos and subscribe to their channels. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time with a new video. Goodbye.